Scheduling is more than just filling in a spreadsheet with some names and times. It's the blueprint for the effective use of your workforce. It isn't just about making sure the shifts are filled, it's also about making sure you are in compliance with company and regulatory guidelines, that your employees are happy, and probably most importantly, that your management and scheduling staff spend as little time possible deliberating over who works when. In this video, I'll demonstrate some of Time Simplicity's powerful tools that address these needs and also show you how its integration with TimeWorks Plus means you get more than just a scheduling app. You get a time and attendance solution. I'm going to give you a quick rundown of the features I'll demonstrate, but if you want to skip ahead to see any of these, just use the timestamps indicated on your screen. To summarize the content of this video, you're going to see how mechanisms for exchanging shifts and scheduling according to employee preferences not only make your team happy, but cuts out a lot of wasted time for your managers. I'll show you built-in tools that automate several tasks for your schedulers and allow them to create effective schedules quickly. You'll learn about valuable notifications related to publishing and adding shifts to the schedule. Then, I'll highlight some compliance tools, illustrate Time Simplicity's role in time and attendance, and walk you through the scheduling features of the mobile app. A scheduling issue that applies to nearly all businesses is the process of employees dropping and picking up shifts. An employee is checking their schedule and they'd like to see if a coworker is interested in taking one of their shifts. So they select Drop Shift, confirm they want to offer it to their coworkers, and here's the best part. They are reminded that they are still responsible until a pickup is approved by their manager. Once the shift is dropped, eligible employees can see it's available when viewing their schedule under the Open Shifts tab. But if they have enabled their text notifications, they can also be notified a dropped shift is up for grabs, and then offered to pick it up through the web portal or the mobile app. I emphasized eligible because in addition to restricting that available shift to employees that are free to work that shift, Time Simplicity also restricts the shift visibility to employees that can work the shift's specified position and those who won't go over their weekly max. So Time Simplicity ensures the shift only gets offered to qualified employees that won't go into overtime. Managers can see that an employee has offered their shift with this red flag on the scheduler, but Time Simplicity doesn't really involve them until there is an actual offer to pick up the shift. That's when the manager can get an email or text notification that a shift pickup needs their approval. And when choosing from multiple offers on the pickup, the manager sees valuable information, like how close the added shift will put the employee towards overtime, and who offered to pick it up first. And once approved, both the dropper and the employee picking up the shift are notified of the change. With one feature, Time Simplicity has enforced employee accountability, kept the manager's involvement to a minimum, and provided automated notifications for the employees. Time Simplicity keeps employees happy with their schedule while minimizing legwork for the manager with schedule preferences. This feature can be configured with multiple options, but basically, employees can define the days and times that they prefer working with a degree of favorability. Managers can view these preferences by clicking this icon on the scheduler page. But Time Simplicity also alerts the manager if they try to add a shift an employee can't work, or prefers not to work. If your managers have to factor in employee availability when scheduling, this feature is invaluable. Time Simplicity takes the thinking and evaluating out of the mix with some simple scheduler tools. Employees are assigned position codes that correspond to certain tasks and jobs within your organization. For example, sales staff versus shop staff. So if a manager tries to schedule a shop tech for a sales shift, Time Simplicity lets them know. An employee's primary position is visible right on the scheduler, but employees can be eligible to work multiple positions. By clicking their position field, you can see all the position codes for which they are qualified to work. Employees can also work in multiple work groups, which allow companies with large staffs in various functional areas and locations to divide and conquer their scheduling process. If a shared employee is already scheduled in a work group, that is visible to schedulers of all work groups, lessening the chance of double scheduling. Let Time Simplicity suggest candidates for you. Just right-click any shift and choose Who Can Work This to see a list of eligible candidates and their remaining hours for the week. There's also an option to text employees to see if they are interested in picking up the shift. The default candidate ordering uses criteria like hours to OT, schedule preference, and proximity to scheduled shifts when suggesting employees, so you find the right employee for the right shift at the right time. Time Simplicity includes all the basic tools, like copy, paste, and propagate, that make it much easier to use than that cumbersome spreadsheet. But if you want to cut the repetition out of your scheduling process as much as possible, you can do it. With templates, you can take a frequently needed shift and apply it to multiple employees and days with a few mouse clicks. These templates are simple to make with options for color coding and scheduling a lunch break. And making a change on the fly isn't hard either. Just select the template and click the pencil icon to make a one-time adjustment and drop it on the schedule. If you want to schedule with a bird's eye view of the day, allowing you to see if you have any gaps in coverage, there is a coverage scheduler, which includes the ability to view an employee's dislike and can't schedule preferences, as well as the ability to click and drag a shift onto an employee's schedule. More repetitive individual employee scheduling can be done with employee-specific templates that apply a collection of shifts over a single or multi-week pattern. And demand templates let you tuck away schedules for special circumstances, like a sale or holiday weekend. So rather than having to rebuild your schedule shift by shift, you can retrieve the demand template and just start selecting employees. Building a schedule no longer has to be such a drain on your manager's time, as they can now use all these tools to address the typical staffing needs and focus more on managing the exceptions. These days, a business has to be nimble, which also applies to your staffing. This is one of the key areas where Time Simplicity's notifications shine. If you have to add a shift to a published schedule to address a change in staffing needs, just add it to the Open Shifts row on the scheduler. Any eligible employee receives a notification that a shift is available. And managers are notified via text or email once an employee offers to pick it up. In the same way it did with dropped shifts, Time Simplicity not only restricts those notifications to those employees that are free during that time, but also restricts the notification to employees that can work the shift's specified position and those who won't go over their weekly max. So Time Simplicity ensures the shift only gets offered to qualified employees that won't go into overtime. And when choosing from multiple offers on the pickup, the manager can see valuable information, like how close the added shift will put the employee towards overtime. Once approved, the employee is notified that the shift has been added to their schedule. So all the time a manager would have spent determining which employees could work the open shift and then calling or texting them one by one was eliminated as soon as the shift was added to that open shift row on a published schedule. And while we're talking about publishing schedules, how often are managers asked by employees when the schedule is going to be up? Well, Time Simplicity takes care of that as well, pushing a notification via text, email, or our mobile app that lets any employee know exactly when they can go and check their shifts. Making sure your workforce is happy and the shifts are covered is one thing. But many businesses also have to factor in organizational rules or regulatory compliance when building a schedule, like preventing an employee from being scheduled too many hours in a single day. Time Simplicity helps apply these guide rails so your managers don't even have to think about it. Company Rules in your Time Simplicity account lets you define a company-wide limit on shift length, hours per day, and consecutive days worked. This way, managers are warned when they may be violating those rules on the schedule. There's a required rest rule, also known as clopening, that applies in circumstances where you want to avoid scheduling an employee for a late closing shift followed by an opening shift the following morning. Avoid scheduling overtime or just overscheduling part-time employees with employee-level max hours limits. It's not hard to see an employee's scheduled and maxed hours on the scheduler, but just in case a manager forgets what their threshold is, Time Simplicity reminds them. Businesses that need to follow Fair Workweek laws can comply with Time Simplicity. These laws typically require minimum notice to an employee when changes are made to their schedule. Time Simplicity does notify employees anytime a change is made to their published schedule. But if a manager tries to do so after the defined threshold, which is usually a number of days in advance of the shift, there are two options for compliance. One is to warn the manager, but allow them to make the change with an option to disclose the reason for the change. And the other option is to block the change entirely and let them know it's because it violates the Fair Workweek settings. An employee's eligibility for a shift may also be dependent on professional certifications. For example, a mountain bike guide may require a current CPR certification. The expiration date of that certification can be tracked in Time Simplicity. And if a manager tries to schedule a guide beyond that certification date, they are blocked. So, when it comes to managing compliance, let Time Simplicity do it for your managers, either with a warning or the enforcement setting that prevents them from adding the non-compliant shift. Where Time Simplicity becomes more than just a tool for filling shifts comes from its link to TimeWorks Plus, making for a true time and attendance solution. Your timekeeping provider can configure time card alerts that compare the schedule to the time card. With this connection, managers can evaluate employee performance by seeing schedule deviations, like late ins and early outs, right on the time card. Employees can be reminded about upcoming shifts or that they need to clock in. If the late threshold is passed without the scheduled employee punching the clock, managers can receive a notification that they may have to fill a shift. A text notification to the manager includes the employee's phone number, so they can reach out and see what's going on. And the email notification has a link that takes them directly into Time Simplicity, where they can look for available employees to fill the shift, just by right-clicking the missing employee shift and selecting who can work this. Also, any time off approved through TimeWorks Plus is synced to the schedule, so managers don't have to go back and forth between the two systems. If you think about it, Time Simplicity is not just your employee schedule. When unified with timekeeping, it becomes an integral part of your bigger workforce management picture and makes for a true time and attendance system. Your employees likely manage most of their lives on their phones, so posting a paper schedule in the back of the break room or even emailing them a copy is not getting them what they need. With the TimeWorks Plus employee mobile app, their current schedule is at their fingertips in the same place where they can view their time card and request time off. They can not only view their schedule, but also drop shifts and offer to pick up available shifts. And the mobile app enables them to get push notifications when the schedule is published, an open shift becomes available, their shift pickup or drop has been approved, and when a change has been made to their schedule. With the schedule put literally right in your employees' hands, it's more convenient for everyone. Now that you've seen Time Simplicity in action, talk to your time and attendance provider on how you can get started. Thanks for watching.